What's the strangest thing you've discovered while cleaning out your or somebody else's house? My great Aunt Lily passed away last spring at 89, and my family asked me to help clean out her house since I lived closest. Aunt Lily was this sweet old lady who baked cookies for every neighborhood kid and volunteered at the library for 40 years. Everyone loved her. She seemed like the most normal, wholesome person you could imagine. So when I started going through her stuff, I expected to find photo albums, recipe cards, and maybe some vintage jewelry. What I found instead completely blew my mind. I was cleaning out her bedroom closet when I noticed the back wall looked weird. There was this wooden panel that seemed loose, like it didn't quite fit with the rest of the closet. I pushed on it and the whole thing swung open like a secret door. Behind it was a hidden room about the size of a walk-in closet, completely lined with corkboards. And covering every single inch of those boards were newspaper clippings, photos, maps, and handwritten notes connected with red string, like something out of a conspiracy theory movie. But this wasn't random paranoid stuff. This was a detailed investigation into a missing person case from 1987. A 12-year-old girl named Emma had disappeared from the park 3 blocks from Aunt Lily's house. I remember the case vaguely because my mom used to mention it whenever she wanted me to be careful walking alone. The police investigated for months but never found any leads. According to all these newspaper clippings, the case went cold pretty quickly, but Aunt Lily had apparently never stopped investigating. She had photos of every person who lived within a 5-mile radius of that park in 1987. She had detailed timelines of who was where when Emma disappeared. She had copies of police reports that I'm pretty sure civilians aren't supposed to have access to. The creepiest part was this map of our entire neighborhood with different colored pins marking locations. Red pins for where Emma was last seen, blue pins for suspicious activity Aunt Lily had witnessed over the years, yellow pins for people she thought were worth watching. There were at least 30 yellow pins scattered around town. I started reading through her handwritten notes, page after page of observations written in her neat cursive handwriting. March 15th, 1988. Man in blue sedan drove past park 3 times between 2-3 p.m. License plate partial, J4R or something. July 22nd, 1989. New neighbor at 847 Pine Street has no furniture but expensive car. Claims to be traveling salesman but never leaves for work. December 3rd, 1991. Found child stock in drainage ditch behind grocery store. Doesn't match any local missing persons reports. Saved in evidence box B. Evidence box B. I looked around the room and found 12 plastic storage containers labeled with letters. Each one was full of potential evidence she'd collected over decades. Random items like clothing, jewelry, even soil samples with detailed notes about where and when she found them. This woman had been running her own private investigation for over 30 years. The most disturbing discovery was her surveillance photos. Hundreds of pictures taken from her bedroom window, which apparently had a perfect view of the park where Emma disappeared. Photos of every person who visited that park for decades, all carefully dated and categorized. Some people appeared in dozens of photos spanning multiple years. Aunt Lily had been watching them, documenting their patterns, building profiles like she was some kind of amateur FBI agent. I found a thick folder labeled Primary Suspect, and my hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside were photos and detailed notes about a man named Carl who used to work maintenance for the city parks department. According to Aunt Lily's research, Carl had access to all the parks, worked alone most days, and had been seen in the area multiple times around when Emma disappeared. She tracked his work schedule, his home address, even his grocery shopping habits. The final pages in the folder were recent, like from just 2 months before Aunt Lily died. She discovered that Carl was still alive, living in a nursing home about an hour away. Her last note said, planning to visit Carl next week, need to ask him about the blue bracelet. I had no idea what blue bracelet she was talking about, but my hands were trembling as I kept reading. At the very bottom of the suspect folder was a business card for a private investigator in the next town over. There was a handwritten note clipped to it. Detective Morris agrees case worth reopening. Meeting scheduled for May 15th. May 15th was 3 days after Aunt Lily's funeral. I sat in that secret room for 2 hours, completely stunned. My sweet old aunt who baked snickerdoodles and read stories to kindergartners had been running a one-woman cold case investigation for 37 years. I called Detective Morris that afternoon. Turns out Aunt Lily had contacted him 6 months earlier with enough evidence to officially reopen Emma's case. They'd been working together to build a case against Carl, who apparently had a history of concerning behavior around children that was never properly investigated back in 1987. Carl passed away 2 weeks after I found Aunt Lily's hidden room, but the evidence she collected over all those years helped police connect him to 2 other missing children cases from the 1990s. Emma's family finally got answers about what happened to their daughter, all because my sweet Aunt Lily refused to let a little girl be forgotten.